Imagine a teacher leaves one sealed envelope on the desk. Inside is a test. The class is told two things. The test will happen on one school day next week, and until that morning, nobody in the class will know which day. It sounds ordinary. Then one student raises a hand and proves that the envelope can never be opened. Start with Friday. If Thursday ends and no test has happened, only Friday remains. The class could predict it that night. A predictable test would violate the announcement, so Friday seems impossible. So far, the reasoning feels almost unavoidable. Notice what powers it: the promise of exactly one test, the memory of an empty week, and the belief that the teacher's announcement is still completely trustworthy on Thursday night. Now Friday has been crossed out. Suppose Wednesday night arrives with no test. Thursday is the only remaining candidate, so Thursday would also be predictable. Cross it out. Repeat the move and Wednesday disappears, then Tuesday, then Monday. The proof consumes the entire week from the end backward. The student sits down satisfied, not merely unprepared, but convinced that a surprise test is logically impossible. Then Wednesday morning, the teacher opens the envelope. The class is surprised. That does not automatically prove the announcement was logically perfect, but it does expose something strange. The argument that made the test impossible also made the test unexpected. The prediction changed the predictor. This is why philosophers have kept returning to the puzzle, and why there is still no single agreed version of its solution. Part of the trouble hides inside one word: surprise. Does it mean a startled feeling, a day you did not guess, a day you could not prove, or a day you did not know? Those are different promises. In everyday speech, a warned-about test can still feel surprising. The harder paradox uses the strongest version. Before the day arrives, the student cannot know that the test will be that day. Once knowledge enters the announcement starts talking about the student's own future mind. Here is one influential diagnosis. By Thursday night, the student wants to combine two thoughts: the announcement is true and no test has happened. Together they imply, the test is Friday and I do not know that it is Friday. That sentence could be true. A teacher outside the class could know it, but the student cannot know the whole sentence because knowing it would make its final words false. Shrink the week to one day and the trap becomes visible. There will be a test tomorrow, but you do not know that. You cannot know that complete sentence while its second half remains true. Philosophers call this kind of claim a blind spot. On this account, the student does not forget the announcement. The words stay in memory. What changes is whether those words, combined with the new situation, can still count as knowledge in the way the backward proof requires. That is not the only diagnosis. Some say the announcement defeats itself. Some weaken knowledge into probability or justified belief. Others formalize surprise without mental states at all. These approaches can produce different answers because they have made different precise puzzles from one vague story. There is also a loop worth noticing. Friday is rejected by trusting the announcement. That rejection is then fed back into the announcement to reject Thursday, and the new result is fed back again. Some analyses call this a kind of circularity. The chain looks linear on the calendar, but its support keeps passing through a claim about what the chain itself can establish. Exposing that dependency matters more than pretending every formal version must reject the same step. The deepest shift may be this: knowledge is not only about facts, it also depends on position and time. The teacher can know what is in the envelope, while the student cannot. Sunday's student can reasonably trust a message that Thursday's student cannot combine with everything else they know. And a prediction about your own future belief can help change that future belief. This pattern reaches beyond classrooms. A warning may prevent the event it predicts. A public forecast may change the choices it describes. Once a prediction enters the system, it becomes another cause inside that system. The paradox does not show that logic is broken. It shows how much logic can hide inside an innocent phrase like, "you will not know." So the next time a perfect backward argument rules out every future, ask what it assumes will remain knowable when that future arrives. The surprise test may not have one final answer. Its value is the question it leaves on the desk. Can you fully predict what you will know when the prediction itself becomes part of what you know?